Hi guys, it's Yao. You might be wondering why I look a little bit different.
What do you want to talk about this week, Yao? Hi guys. This week I have a very, very special guest with me, and that is my best friend, Cynthia. She is visiting me this weekend from New York City, and we are capitalizing on the opportunity to make a video. And the topic is very timely in terms of how the COVID-19 situation is impacting people. We want to talk about, thank you very much. We want to talk about managing long distance friendships over time. So Cynthia and I have been best friends for 10 years this year. Congratulations on our 10-year anniversary. And we have been long distance for the past 6 years. Yeah. Cynthia, would you like to tell everybody how we met and how we got started?
We met at Penn State. We were filling Britas.
Yeah, we were
inside
filling
of
Britas.
the dorm.
It's important to filter your
we
walk.
locked eyes and we knew it was.
We knew.
We know.
Yeah, no, I'm a Taurus and she's a Cancer, and I'm a Taurus dating a Cancer and she's a Cancer dating a Taurus. It is the match made in heaven. If you don't mess with horoscopes, that's fine. But if you do and you're Taurus, find yourself a Cancer, and if you're a Cancer, find yourself a Taurus, because they were soulmates. Let's keep it moving. So the first year we were dorm mates. The second year we lived in different dorms but close to each other.
Yes.
Third and fourth years we had single apartments.
On the same floor.
On the same floor. However, the third year I studied abroad in France.
You did. You left me halfway through the year.
I left her.
Devastated.
Yes. I came back and she had a new boo, who I love. If you're watching this, still her boo. But even when I went away, nothing really changed. I was gone for several months, and other than you getting a boo, everything was consistent because we lived in the same place. We were largely in the same places in our lives, but as soon as college was over, I accepted a job in Washington, D.C., and she did in New York.
We've been long distance now since then.
Yeah.
But still as close as ever.
But still as close as ever. So how do you think communication has to change when you go from being in the same place in the same situation to moving apart and transitioning to different stages of your life?
That's like a tricky question. I don't honestly think communication is exactly what needs to change.
Okay.
I think it's the mindset that needs to change. And I think that's the number one challenge with long distance relationships.
Yeah.
Is switching your mindset, because so much is going to change. Like, we used to be able to, I would like literally get back from class, she'd be sleeping in my bed. So I think
and you know I didn't ask.
And that was communication for us. It was like, we
Yeah.
didn't have to prioritize communication, and we didn't have to even use that mindset of when am I going to be speaking to you next, because we knew the other would always be there.
Of course.
So I think the number one challenge in long distance relationships is switching that mindset and adjusting to what used to be in common all the time and expected all the time is no longer expected. And everything that used to be kind of the foundation of your relationship gets like ripped out from under you.
It's true.
And you have to switch and change that mindset.
I find with a lot of the people that I know that they have a best friend or anyone, even sometimes relationships, and they move to different places and they do a really good job keeping in touch for the first maybe couple months, the first year, while their interests and their lives are still tied to the previous phase. But I feel like when you start opening a new phase and you start meeting new people that the other person doesn't know, because before we knew every single one of the same people and our lives just overlapped so much that there was almost nothing separate. So it made sense.
You had everything in common.
Yeah.
You had everything in common.
Yep. Every single person we knew, you just mentioned their name or a nickname we call them, and it was known. So then all of a sudden you're entering this other world and you still love that person and you want to bring them into the world with you, but they're not there and they don't see things with their eyes, and everything that they'll know about your world is just what you're telling them. And there's an art to keeping them engaged with it. And we've been doing that for 6 years. And no one in your life now is in my life. No one. And no one in my life is in your life besides each other. So how do we do that? Because I think there's certain people that are your soulmates, but they're not always gonna be next to you. They're not always gonna be sitting in a chair next to you in a way that's convenient. And I think the opposite is true too. Sometimes we spend all of our time with people that maybe don't relate to us that well, but they are right there.
Yeah, I think this is actually, we never talked about this.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting, it's like a light bulb just went off in my head.
Yes.
I think that's how you can weed out fake friendships.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a friend, and I think this is a lot of people who have friend groups that are all together, are they listening to you for tea? Are they listening to you because they know who you're talking about?
Yeah.
And they just want to know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So even when I was sitting with you and I knew exactly who you were talking about at Penn State, and you were upset and you were mad, or you had drama in your life, or you were celebrating something, I wasn't listening to you to gather tea, to gather information, to picture the whole scenario in my head of he did this and you did that, she did this and you did that. I was listening to you because I care about you.
Of course. Yeah.
So the fact that I cannot picture who these people are, the fact that I don't know who they are, that's not what I was ever listening to begin with.
Right. So nothing changed.
I was listening to you because I care about you. And my job as your best friend is to be there for you. Yeah. So I think that it's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up because, oh my gosh, you have lots of friends. I'm like, oh my God, who's this person? Like, you have to keep tabs, especially if you have a brain like mine.
Chart, like a tree on her, a whiteboard.
And it's hard to keep track, but at the end of the day, my duty and my job as your best friend was never to be able to picture it all and make it all make sense. It's to help you make your world make sense. Right. And what is my role in that? Right. So for me to not personally be able to picture it and,
it doesn't matter.
Tie to it. If you're feeling these feelings and if you can explain them in full detail to me, nothing really changed.
Right.
It's harder because, there's a lot of moving pieces. And when we were in college and we lived literally together and we were picking up where we left off every day. We would sit down for dinner every single day. And
update, I blew my nose since the last time I saw you. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes, even now, sometimes you'll go a month without talking. You don't have to feel stressed out by needing to fill in every detail. You're not going to get a grade for how thorough you were, how comprehensive. It's like, what are the things that matters and what are the things that keep you engaged? Before, I think I kind of had a pressure on myself just in the way that I thought and felt, what is it to be a good friend? Like if she has a fight with her boyfriend, or if she had, which never happens because you guys are, I don't know, perfect. But if something big happens in your life, I need to make sure I know about it and make sure I'm there. And there aren't really rules. When you come into it without an interest in drama and without an interest in controlling the other person, and you're really just there to support them, then whatever she comes and tells me, Cynthia's an artist. So when she comes and tells me that she's going to post something political or she's going to do some art that she's not sure if it's like anything she's done before. When she tells me these kinds of things, I weigh it and I just think from her perspective, do I believe that it's good for her? And if it is, then I advise for it. I think it's important to have a friendship without an agenda. Because a lot of times when you run in the same social circles as people, there's hierarchies, there's sometimes jealousy, there's mutual friends and what they're saying, and there's an agenda. And I think from the beginning, even when all of our friends were mutual, there was never an agenda. And I think you need to find at least one person that you really just feel with your eyes closed when they're not around, has your back, and would always want to push you higher rather than take you down a peg. That's big. On top of communication and all that stuff, when life changes and you're just filling each other in, and using the other person as a sounding board, I think is the most important thing. But the other side of this that we wanted to cover is people change. And I'm not the same person as when you met me. You're not the same person as when I met you. No. So we have our core elements of who we are that don't change, sure. But when you love a person, you're there to see them grow. And you're there to see them evolve and change in a way that's becoming who they should be. That's what your 20s are for. So when we met each other, we were kids. Like I had just turned 17. We were children. And you have to be able to know what's best for the person and understand them in a way that's dynamic. I feel like there are definitely people that come into your life who kind of hold you to the version of yourself you were when you met them.
Yeah. And some people don't change.
Some people don't. But if you love someone, you
appreciate.
Of course.
And you watch them change.
Of course.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that everything you just said, I had another epiphany while you were speaking. I think
she's the queen of epiphany.
Like what you were saying as I'm listening to you, it's like you're like, this is what I do, and you need to make sure you do this, and I do, and this is how to make it work. And also, while you're saying that, though, I know that that's what you need from a friend.
Yeah. You're
Everything you just said is, it's like, that's my, the filing cabinets in my brain of like, this is how I'm a good friend to Al, And I think that's how you think about being a good lover.
Yeah, in general.
In love, and to your significant other. And there's so many books on that, and there's so many, there's so many podcasts, and there's so many movies and documentaries and YouTube talks and podcasts about how to be a good significant other, and we forget that those same rules apply to being a friend.
Of course. Relationships.
So, one of the number one things is you have to know your friend that well.
Yeah.
What are they looking for? What do they need in a friendship? And it's kind of like love languages.
Yeah, exactly.
You listen to your lover to figure out how they want to be loved. Okay, listen to your friend and figure out what they need from you in a friendship, especially if you're long distance, because you can't be there to fix every little mess up or every little mistake or every little, dull day, because you only, in the adult world, get to communicate so often. So when you do, and when you link up, and when you go MIA, because I go rogue, I go MIA for far too long.
No, she's got a lot to do. I just hit her with a FaceTime and I'm like, hello, it's me. Yes. Don't call people. If you can FaceTime people, FaceTime them.
Yeah.
Because you can see them and it's such a different feeling. When you read a text, it's here. When you hear a voice, it's here. When you FaceTime, it's here. It's the closest thing to seeing them, and it really gives you that feeling.
Yeah. But like, you have to figure out what they need and prioritize that, because time is limited. You don't get as many at-bats as you used to when you were neighbors in a dorm, or when you were neighbors growing up, or when you went to the same school, and time is precious. So when you are there for that friend, you really need to know what they need, just like a significant other. And that's the amount of effort that goes into it. You have to think of them. You are my soulmate.
Oh my God.
But like, that...
I'm gonna cry.
No, but you are my soulmate, and like, I think that's a very false narrative that you only have one. How foolish to think that you should only be worthy of one soulmate in your life.
That's true.
And when people even talk about having many soulmates, it's usually about their partner or their significant other. No, your friends, if you put the time and effort into them, will be your soulmates.
That's true.
Who's there for you when shit hits the fan with your real soulmate?
Right.
Your soulmate. It's so important that you think about them and what they need if you want to make long distance work, specifically because time is precious.
Okay. And expanding the definition too of what is a soulmate. A soulmate, I think, is just that person that is at bat for you, that person that you know is on your team, and they don't just like being around you because you're cool or because you're pretty, or they really, really genuinely care about who you are. Mm-hmm. Like if I cut all my hair off tomorrow, would you still hang out with me? Yeah, duh. Like, oh, this is a cool, funny time. You look like a lollipop. I don't know. Like I would never relinquish you for a choice you made.
No.
Because that's control too. And there's a lot of control in relationships, and I see it more and more with age. People like you when you fit into a certain box.
Okay, but if someone's trying to control you, do not even bother having a long distance.
Yeah. True. But a controlling friend in long distance, for example, would be like, I hit you with the FaceTime, where were you?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like that kind of person.
And
judging,
you know what?
instantly
there
judge.
There might be some friends that both want that.
Yeah. But that's codependency, and we don't like that.
No, not for me at all.
Like
but I think like that, okay, so that's actually another topic.
Yeah.
You need to step back and see who your friends are, your partner is, everyone you love as a human being. Yeah. And decide, do we mesh? Do we fit?
That's true.
Can I give them what they want? Is this what I want?
Okay.
I don't have any friends who are like, you didn't answer my call. You didn't.
Oh, I always attract people like that.
No, I think
that
people. Not me.
Evil laugh.
I think that like I don't have friends like that because people know I don't have time for that.
Right.
I don't, and
I have less.
I have acquaintances, and it's something in my life that I don't just shove it out the window, but like my ride or dies, the people who get all of my energy, they are not people who are going to come at me and say, you didn't answer this, you didn't answer that.
Right.
No.
Also, I think a really important thing is conflict. Like, we've never had a conflict.
No.
We have never had a conflict.
There's a reason for that. It's not like,
Right.
like it's not because we're not people of conflict. We both had conflict in our lives.
With
I think
other
it's
people.
like we do not do this with each other because it's the respect of the friendship and we understand each other.
Exactly.
Bottom line, you need to put work into your friendship.
Yeah.
People put in the work to avoid conflict in their family, conflict with their mother, conflict with their father, resolving conflict with broken family members, resolving conflict within a relationship with a significant other or a partner.
Yeah.
Work and do the work to figure out how to avoid conflict with your best friend. It's precious.
Right.
Like, a best friendship should be a treasure and you should protect it at the same cost, at the same expense as any other love in your life.
Agreed. But the interesting thing I think with us is we have an understanding that comes from a place of a lot of empathy and compassion. Because you've never done something that I want to snap at you. Like, it's never happened.
No.
Because I always understand why. Anything you do, it doesn't offend me because first of all, I assume good intentions. When you love someone,
And I'm
you
an angel.
She is an angel. But both of us have fought with many other people over the years while we didn't fight with each other.
Yeah.
But less you than me. More me than you, right? But that's the
Your
thing.
life's more dramatic. It's
My life
not
is
that
more
you fight with people. I'm just very boring.
But
I like to fight with myself in the mirror.
I made an episode about relationship sensitivity and I talk about it and the kinds of things that I've done that have caused me to fight with other people, like saying I'm going to do something myself that someone was going to help me with, or changing plans or something like that. I've done the same things to you, but you understand me as a person and you know I don't have bad intentions. And I think when you really want to love someone and have a relationship that grows and changes with time, you have to understand their intentions. Like, if I say something neutral, you take it positive. If I say something negative, you talk to me in the moment.
Yeah.
But you would never take something neutral in a negative way.
Yeah.
Because every single thing has to be a vote for the relationship.
Yeah.
And you know you're on the same side.
No, definitely. And I think that also brings up another point of, like, some people aren't meant to be your friends, right?
Yes.
Like, if you like, don't force a friendship to work if it's just not the vibe, like, if it's just not it. I think that, like, you need to, realistically, it's easy for us to get along. So
Of course.
if that, and however, like,
I couldn't even think of a time.
no, yeah, no,
Oh my
seriously,
God.
like, it's easy for us to get along.
Yeah.
But how much does that have to do with the fact that this is the way we dissect relationships? Is right? How many times do you think about, how can I combat this tiff, this fight with this significant other? Like, I think about that with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do.
It's true.
So I think that, one, we're very compatible. Like, that's just something, it's not like we're forcing a friendship, but the way we've kept it so tight and the way we haven't skipped a beat and the way that we have not fought in 10 years is because I look at you as someone outside of my friend.
Yeah.
Who is she as a female, as a woman, as a worker, with a very powerful woman, as you know, as an employee of such a job, as a girlfriend, as a daughter.
Yeah.
And that's why we're able to talk about all of those things, because I don't give you feedback from Cynthia's world. Even when I'm giving feedback to Yael, the worker, the daughter, the lover, it's different.
Yeah.
Because I see you as all of those identities, kind of like you would with your significant other.
It's true. Like a
Or
person
your
I love.
mother, right? How I feel in my relationship with my mother is, she's more than a mom.
Right.
She's a woman. She's an immigrant. She is so many different things other than what she owes me as a mother.
Wow, yeah.
And
that was the most profound thing that's been said in this episode.
yeah, and
Other than what the person
and
owes
then
you.
How righteous is it to think that your friend is not more than your friend?
Right. Right.
So when you're giving your friend feedback, when you are trying to maintain a friendship and keep things up and together, it takes that effort. And I think that's like when we were in college, everything was in common. So my feedback, it didn't take as much effort.
Of course.
Because I knew everything and we were in the same zone at university for 4 years. We were young, we were ruthless, we were this and that.
We were walking in public in our pajamas.
Yeah, or like, and this is to all of your friends, it's not just you. To give friends feedback, you had so much in common that you actually could think about yourself. What would I do if this were me?
Right.
As you get older, you cannot do that anymore because you start to grow apart and there's less commonalities and You
apart
have to
in
think
terms
about
of what you're doing,
Yes,
but you can
yes.
stay emotionally together.
You can stay emotionally
that.
together, but does it take work? And
Yeah.
to make sure you're still giving feedback, I can't just say, well, what would Cynthia do? One, I live in New York City. Two, we are very different. Three, there are just so many things that we don't have in common anymore that for me to give you feedback from my world is very selfish. It's just inefficient. Like it's not true. It's not what you need.
Right.
So I think that one way to make long distance friendships work is you're growing up. You're becoming different people. You have less in common. When you're giving feedback and when you are helping them through moments in their life, you can no longer think of, what would I do?
Right.
You have to think of, what should she do?
Yeah.
We are very different in so many ways. You're actually the friendship that taught me this is because there are some things in your life where I'm like, oh my goodness, and it's just like, girl.
She just
and it's just something that wouldn't happen to me. And I used to be like, no, this is not for you.
Right.
But how righteous is that of me to think that I know what's better for you when we're so different? And sometimes you have a gut instinct for your friends because you're very protective, and you it's hard not to think that you don't know better. But the only way you're able to have that opinion is if you step into their shoes, and the only way you're able to do that is if you see them for all of their identities. Who is Yael as my best friend, as a lover, as a daughter, as a worker, as a professional, as everything.
Yeah.
And that's the only way.
A cat mom. I'm a cat mom.
Most importantly.
Most importantly.
A chef.
Where is that guy?
A chef. A YouTuber.
Thank you. Speaking of YouTuber, and I wanted to say that because we're talking about evolution, and I actually, when I had this idea, and when my boyfriend and I were walking in Georgetown, and he was like, just go for it. Just make a YouTube channel. You're always telling people advice. You're always preaching, whatever. Why don't you do it on a camera and make something out of it? You love teaching. Go for it. When he said that, one of the biggest, things that was holding me back was worrying that people in my life would be against it. And a lot of the people closest to me were saying, oh, no, that's not for you. Or I didn't think you were interested in doing that. And I'm like, I wasn't, but now I am. It's attractive to me. And why should I feel like you don't want me to? This isn't just for being a YouTuber or changing your job or going into something. I feel like sometimes that voice in your head, the risk-averse voice, is amplified by the echo of the people around you who want you to stay the same way you've been. For example, my boyfriend went vegan, and he is Egyptian, and Egyptian food is very meat heavy. Him going vegan is being treated by people his own age, initially at least, as like a betrayal or a rejection of their culture. And in reality, it's a personal, health-oriented, eco-conscious choice. It's a choice I didn't push on him, it's a choice he made himself. But the people who love him most, and I know they love him so much, were not on board with it when he first came up with that decision. And they are now, but still wary because it's not in line with what they do. And I think there is sort of like a tribalism to the things we do as we age. And it's like, well, you're my people, and like, we don't do that. Like, we're not YouTubers, or we eat sushi every Thursday, and now you're projecting it. And it's like, there's a certain element of making sure that you love that person, whether or not they're accepting the reality that you are, or that you like the most. And that's what I mean about control. There's no elements of control there. Like if Cynthia said she's taking out a loan and opening a studio, and I'd just be the first person to promote it. Why would I say, oh, that's risky, don't do that, that's not for you, you're not gonna succeed? Because it's laws of attraction. You want to bring as much positivity to the things that will make your friend's journey the most holistic, the most real. Our 20s are zipping by. Forever 25, but that's like our new upscale version of Forever 25. Forever 25. But I'm just seeing how quickly time is moving, and to be anything other than ultra supportive and cheering on the person you love is a disservice to them. That's how.
And like, obviously there's a fine line of you have to keep it real.
Yeah,
right? You
keep
have
it
to keep
real.
it real with your friends.
But be a sounding board.
Yeah, be a soundboard, be supportive.
Yeah.
And I think that also highlights on the fact of like, your friends are going to grow.
Yeah.
We grow, we're all supposed to grow. And it's strange when, for so many years of your life, so many things, you were forced to grow together. We were both forced to go through 4 years of university.
Yeah. And they weren't all easy.
Everyone was forced to go through K through 12.
Right.
So like there were certain foundations in your life that were always going to be the same.
Right.
In your growth.
Right.
So now in the adult world, your growth is up to you.
That's true.
And that can be very competitive. It can be very unnerving. It can be lots of things, and you can have nothing in common with how you're growing with the people next to you, which is a strange feeling because we used to be growing at the same pace, at least in certain things in our life.
Right.
Right? So I think that that's where some of that resentment can come from, that confusion can come from, and you have to spot out what's worth working through and what's poison in your life, like what is just someone not being there for you,
right?
Versus something you have to work through because it's not something you're used to, and not having anything in common with their growth can be hard for some people.
That's true.
But there are so many things that you can do to help it, and I think the number one is you're not just my friend, you are a person.
Just to recap, we want you to know that the people who are the most worthwhile in your life don't have to be sitting right next to you to have a meaningful role. They can continue to be there for you, and you can continue to be there for them. And you can stay just as close, but the nature of the relationship will change. The person very well might change. And you have to be comfortable with all of that and have no elements of competitiveness or control present in order to have a healthy relationship with someone over years and years and years. And just on the smallest level, don't feel like you have to say, hey, how are you, once a week. When you feel there's an urgency or a pressure, you're probably gonna stop doing the thing eventually because it feels like a drain on you.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is just do what's natural. Like if I drop off the earth for 3 weeks and then text her a weird picture, that's okay.
And that's because we understand each other.
Right.
I think another thing that's really important to say is prioritize your friendships.
Yeah, it's true.
Treat them like your soulmate. Like we put the time into the partner, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the family. This is your soulmate. If you are so lucky if you have a best friend, a long-term friend. That is a treasure, that is a gift. Treat it that way and put in the work. Actually dig deep into yourself. What podcasts are you listening to? What books do you have on your shelf? Do you have any about being a good friend?
True.
Are there even that many to weed from? Make sure you value your soulmates, and your friends are your soulmates. That's why this has worked. We've put in the work.
Exactly.
It's kind of an easy.
Yeah, no, it's not that much for us. It's not work.
But I also think it's because we've learned along the way. Had I kept acting the way we were in college, we wouldn't.
No.
Be friends. So I think that start to deep dive your friends as soulmates.
And I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you guys so much for listening.
And that's the tea. Cut.
And cut. No.
Bye for now. Make sure you tune in on Thursday, 4 p.m. Eastern time. I always drop a video. My name is Yael.
Now we have to blow a kiss. Ready?
Bye.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, bye.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. See.